Hey everyone, I welcome you all to this video. And today in this video, we are going to discuss about DAX. DAX refers to nothing but data analysis expressions, and it is a built-in language in Power BI that is used to do certain calculations that help us fulfill certain business needs, right? And it basically helps us to represent certain insights and information on the report of the dashboards that we create. So that's why it's important. And it is a functional language. So we have many functions that we use in DAX, and DAX is basically used to create tables, columns, and something called measures. So we will discuss about all those things in details in the session. So let's open Power BI Desktop. So I'll simply double click on this Power BI Desktop icon. It might take some time and it will open Power BI for us, Power BI Desktop for us. I'll click on sign in. It might again take some time to load. Since sign-in is not required as of now, so I'll simply click on cancel. All right. As of now, if I will expand the data pane, you can see that we are not having any data here. So it shows the message that you haven't loaded any data yet, get data. So you can simply click on get data from here, or you can click on get data from here as well. So that is one thing, but let's say I want to use DAX in order to create the data. I do not want to import the data or bring the data from some other source to here. I want to create the data in Power BI Desktop itself. So at times it is expected or required that we have to create date tables in Power BI. So that can be achieved using DAX, and how that can be done, let's discuss that now. So first of all, I'll simply click on Modeling tab. And then if I lower the mouse over this area, so you can see it shows an info tab that write a DAX expression to create a new table. So I'll simply click here on this option. And you can name this table. You can provide a name to this table. So I will name this table as date table. And now you need to use a suitable function in order to create this date table. So I will be using calendar function. So I will simply write calendar. The moment you type CALE, it shows you that these are the possible functions, calendar functions that you can use. So since I want to use calendar function, so I'll simply press the tab key. And now when you will see that you have selected a function in this manner, Power BI will show you an info tab that basically tells you about the definition of this function. So if I read this definition, so it says that this function will return a table with one column of all dates between the start date and the end date. And you need to provide two arguments, that is the start date and the end date. And as of now, since we have to provide the start date, that's why it is highlighted in blue. So let's discuss further. So now, since in order to provide the dates, I will further be using one more function, that is the date function. So I'll write date, press tab key. And now since I want the dates to be between 1st January 2022 to 1st January 2023, so I can simply write, in place of here, I can write 2022, 01, 01, close the bracket. Now again, in order to provide the end date, now the end date is highlighted in blue because as of now, it is expected from us to provide the end date. So I'll further be using date function to provide this end date. So I'll write date, press tab key, and the year will be 2023, and up to 1st January, we want the data. So 01, 01, close the bracket, and then close the calendar function and simply press enter. So if I will now further expand this date table, you can see that a column has been added in this table and a table has been created, and the name of this column is date. I further want to rename this column. So I will simply double click here on this date and I'll name it as date column. I'll press enter. Now, if you just want to see the table that has been created, you can just simply click here on this table view. And here you can see that this is the column that has been created, and this is the name of the table, that is date table, and it consists of only one column that is named date column, and this is the column that we have. As of now, if I will sort this in ascending order, you can see that 1st January 2022 is the minimum date. If I'll further sort it in descending order, you can see that 1st January 2023 is the highest date that we have. So since we wanted the data from 1st January 2022 to 1st January 2023, so that data is populated or present here. Now, as of now, you can see that the format of the dates present in this date column is basically in date time format. And since we want it to be in date format, so I'll simply click here on this column, that is date column. And then I'll further expand this format. And since I want the format to be DD, MM, YY, so I'll select this option. And now you can see that the dates are in required format. Now let's go back to the report view. and let's discuss about using other functions. Now let's say I am interested in representing the number of the month for each date in a separate column in this table. So we can use month function for that. So I'll simply right click on date table, then I'll click on new column, since this will be adding a new column. And since we will be adding the month number, so let's name it as month number. Let's name this column as month number. And the function that we are going to use is month function. So the moment you'll write month, it will show you that these are the following functions that you can use. Since this month function is now highlighted in blue, so I'll simply press the tab key and it will select the month function for us. And in this month function, you will have to provide the name of the date column. So press that, you just type single quote, and this will show you the name of the column and the table that you have. So since we want to provide the name of the date column, so I'll simply select that column, press tab key. And then in this column also, we want to provide the dates. So having this dot date selected, simply press the tab key and I'll close the bracket and simply press enter. If I'll further click on the table view, here you can see that a month number column has been added with certain values, that is with values from 1 to 12. Since January will be represented by 1 and December will be represented by 12. So for different months, different month numbers have been added in this new column, that is the month number column, right? And for that purpose, we used month function. Now let's again go back to the report view. All right, and this is the table that we have. And in this table, we added a table, we created a table using DAX expression. So if I'll click here on this date table, you can see this formula. If I'll further click on the date column, so this is the column that we had. We got this column by using this expression for date only. And if I'll click on the month number column, you can see that this is the expression that was used to get the month number. Now let's say I am interested in knowing about the day of the week, and I'm also interested in knowing about the number of the week. So we can use certain functions for that as well. So first of all, let's discuss about the weekday function. So if I'll right click on date table and if I'll click on new column, and since we are going to discuss about the weekday function, so I will simply write weekday. And from here, if I write weekday, this shows you certain options. So having this weekday selected, we'll simply press the tab key and this will show you the definition of this function, and it says that it will return a number from 1 to 7 identifying the day of a week of a date. So for a given date, it will be certainly representing a certain day, right? It will correspond to a certain day. So that particular day can be represented using different numbers from 1 to 7, and it can be achieved using this function. So here you need to provide two arguments, that is date and return type. Return type is not mandatory, but again, we will discuss about return types as well. So first of all, since we want the date to be picked up from the date column, so single quote, and it will show you different options. So date column is the column that we want to use. We have to provide the date. So I'll select dot date, then comma. Now here you have three options. If I will select 1, then 1 will be represented by Sunday and Saturday will be represented by 7. If I'll select the second option, that is 2, if I'll select the second option, that is 2, select set. All right. Then here for this particular option, Monday will be represented by 1 and Sunday will be represented by 7. And if I'll use the third option, then Monday will be represented by 0 and Sunday will be represented by 6. So let's say I want to use 1 only. That is, I want that Sunday should be represented by 1 and Saturday should be represented by 7. So I'll type 1 here and then I'll press tab key and then I'll close the bracket and press enter. Now, if I will go back to the table view and if I will further click here on this weekday column, if I'll further click here on this drop down, so you can see that it consists of 7 distinct values from 1 to 7 representing different days. All right. Now, similarly, let's talk about the weeknum function. So if I'll right click on the date table, and if I'll click on new column, and since this time we want to represent that actually there are 52 weeks in a year and some days. So we have a total of 53 weeks, let's say. So from 1 to 53 for each date, corresponding to each date, this weeknum function will be representing that this date corresponds to which week of the year. So we can use weeknum function for that. So let's see how it works. So I'll simply write week num. And since we'll be using week num function, so I'll write week num, and this will show you, Power BI will show you that this is the function that you can use. And press tab key, and now it shows you the definition that it returns the week number in a year, and you need to provide the date and return type again, right? So again, we'll be using the date column, so single quote, and then date column, date, comma, and here you can see that if you want the week to begin on Sunday, then you can provide 1 as the return type. If you want the week to begin on Monday, you can provide 11 as the second argument, 12, 13, 14, and so on. Let's say I want that the week should begin on Sunday, right? So I want to provide 1 as the argument, and press tab key and close the bracket and press enter. Now, in order to see how this column looks, if I will further click on the table view, so this is the column that was added, and if I further click on the drop down, so you can see that these are the different values that we have, that is from 1 to 53. All right, so that's how this function can be used. So this was week num function. Now let's say we are interested in representing the different months by short names, right? If I'll further click on the table view, so here we were representing different months by numbers, right? So let's say we want to represent different months by their short names. So how that can be achieved? So we can achieve it using format function. So I'll just simply right click on the state table, and I'll click on new column. And since we want to represent month short names, so I will name this column as month short name. And for this purpose, we will be using format function. So I will simply write format. And here you need to provide the value and format, and then local name is your optional argument. So first of all, in values, I will simply write the name of the date column, so single quote, and it will show you the different columns that you can use. So date column, we want to use this column. I'll select this column, press tab key, and then dot date, comma. Now you need to provide the format. So in double quotes, you can write the format. So since we want the short name of the month to be represented, so in the double quotes, I'll write MMM, and I will simply close the bracket and press enter. Third argument was optional. So anyways, now I'll just simply click on table view, and here you can see that month short names have been added. If I'll further click on the drop down, you can see that these are the different months that we have in our data set. All right. Now simply cancel this. Let's say we do not want to add the short names, but we want to add complete names for the month. So I will again click on the report view, and I will right click on the state table, new column. And since here we are representing month full name, so we can simply write month full name, and we can again use format function. So format, press tab key, single quote, and name of this column, that is date table date column dot date, comma, in the double quotes, write MMMM, close the bracket, press enter. Now if I again click on the table view, you can see that a new column has been added by the name month full name, and it represents the full name of the different months that we have corresponding to each date. Now again click on cancel. Let's go back to the report view. Now this is the data that we have, right? And let's say we want to add one more column wherein we want to represent the short name and full name of the weekdays as well. So how that can be achieved? So I'll again simply right click on the state table, and then I'll click on new column, and let's name this column as since we want to represent week names, so weekday names, so we can write weekday short name. First of all, let's talk about the short names. So we can write format, press tab key, single quote, select the date column, dot date, comma, in the double quotes, just simply mention D, double quotes, and then close the bracket, press enter. Now, if I'll click on the table view, so you can see that this is a column that has been added, and this column consists of the short names of different weekdays. Sorry, not weeks, weekdays. So these are the different weekdays that we have. Now let's say we are further interested in showing or represent the full names of the weekdays. So from here only, I'll simply right click on the date table and then I will click on new column. And since we are representing weekday full names, so we can write weekday full name, and we can further use format function. So I can write format, single quote, name of date column, dot date, comma, double quotes, D, write it 4 times, double quotes, close the bracket, press enter. So you can see that a column has been added in which the basically names of weekdays are being represented and full names are being represented. If I further click on the drop down, so these are the different names that we have corresponding to each date. Similarly, there are some other functions as well. So let's say we want that the values in month short name and your week short name column to be concatenated and a new column to be created, and that column should consist of month short name and week short name combined. So we can use concatenate function for that. So how that can be achieved, let's talk about that now. So I'll simply right click on the date table, then new column. And since we are going to use concatenate functions, so I will write it as, let's name it as con1, right? Con1 function. Since we'll be taking one more example to understand concatenate functions. So for this particular example, I'm using the name con1 fun. So since we wanted to concatenate the values in month short name and weekday short name column, so I will simply write concatenate function, and Power BI shows you that these are the functions that you can use. So I'll simply, having this concatenate function selected, I'll press the tab key. Then you need to provide the text. So here we will provide the names of the 2 columns that we have created. So we want to use month short name. So simply press single quote and then press single quote and then select month short name from here. Having this selected, press tab key, comma, provide the name of the second column. So press single quote, select the second column, that is weekday short name, press tab key, and then simply close the bracket, press enter. So you can see that this concatenate function was used to create this con1 fun column. And in this column, you can see that the month short names and weekday short names have been concatenated. But here you can see that there is no gap or no delimiter is being used between these 2 values, right? So we want that a delimiter should also be present between the different values taken from month short name and weekday short name column. So we can achieve that as well using concatenate function. How that can be achieved, now let's discuss about that. So I will simply right click on the date table again. Now I'll click on new column. And since this is the second example that we are going to use for concatenate function, so let's name it as con2 function. And here, since we are using the delimiter, so we will write in the name, let's write WD, that represents nothing but with delimiter. So again, we'll use concatenate function. So I'll write concatenate, and Power BI shows us that these are the examples, these are the functions that we can use. Having this concatenate selected, I'll press the tab key. Then inside this concatenate function, I will again use a concatenate function once again. So I'll write concatenate, press tab key. And then first of all, since the 2 columns that we want to use are month short name and weekday short name, but we also want a delimiter to be there. So first of all, we will combine the month short name with a delimiter. So press single quote and then month short name, press the tab key, comma, in the double quotes, just provide the delimiter that you want to be used. So since I want to use the hyphen, so I've provided this in double quotes, and I'll use the first concatenate function which is being used inside the other concatenate function. Now comma, and now provide the name of the second column. So the second column that we wanted to use was weekday short name. So weekday short name. Select this, press tab key, close the bracket, press enter. So now you can see that in the con2 fun WD column, January and Saturday, let's say if I'll talk about the first element of first value, then in the con1 fun column, January and Saturday are not separated by a hyphen, while in the second column, they are separated by a hyphen. So we added a delimiter. So you can add any other delimiter of your choice, right? Whatever you want to. Let's say you wanted to add a space. So in place of this hyphen, you can add a space as well, or any other delimiter or any other character that you want to add, you can. Now let's discuss about some other functions. Let's discuss about left, right, mid, and length function. So now let's say we are interested in knowing about we want to extract the first three characters from month full name column, right? So since we are interested in extracting the first three characters from the left, from the month full name column, so we can achieve that using the left function. So I will simply right click on the date table and I'll click on new column. And since we are going to discuss about the left function, so let's name this column as left function and left, press tab key. And the column that you want to provide in the input is month full name. So single quote, and it will show you the names of the different columns. So month, we want month full name to be there. Provide the name of that column, and now you need to provide the number of the characters that you want to extract from the left. Let's say I want to extract 3 characters from the left. So I'll simply write 3 here, and I'll close the bracket, press enter. So you can see that the first 3 characters have been extracted from the month full name column. Now let's say similarly, we are not interested in extracting the 3 characters or any number of characters from the left, but we want to extract a given number of characters from the right hand side, from the same column. So I'll right click on date table, new column. And let's name this function as right function, or you can simply write right file. And we will use the right function. So we'll write right. Having this selected, we'll press the tab key. Then the text or the column that we want to supply in input is the month full name column. So single quote, then write month. So Power BI will show you different possible options that you can use for the input. So we want to use month full name. So having this selected, we'll press tab key. And since the number of the characters from the right that we want to be extracted are 2 characters, so I'll write 2, and then I'll close the bracket and press enter. So here you can see that 2 characters from the right have been extracted from month full name column. So this is how right function can be used. Now let's say we are interested in knowing about the length of the characters in any given column, right? For all different values in a given column. So again, I'll right click on the date table, new column, and we'll be using length function for the same. So let's name this length function we'll be using. So let's name this as length function, and the function is length function. Press tab key, and now just simply provide the name of the column. So let's say we want to extract, or we want to know about the length of the characters of the values in the month full name column. So type single quote, then month full name, select it, close the bracket, press enter. So this will show you the length of characters in each cell value for month full name column. So that's how length function can be used to find out the length of the characters. Now let's talk about mid function. So if I'll further right click on the state table and new column, let's name this function as mid function. All right, so we have mid, press tab key, and it will return a string of characters from the middle of a text string given a starting position and the length. So you need to provide the text, you need to provide the starting position and the number of the characters that you want to be extracted. So let's say I want to extract, let's say, first 2 characters from your month full name column. So single quote, then write month. It will show you the different columns that you can use. So we want to use month full name, press tab key. Let's say the starting position has to be 1. So J will represent for January, J will represent the first position. So that is the first position. And since we want a total of 2 characters to be extracted, so after comma, we'll simply write 2 and close the bracket, press enter. So you can see that from January, JA was extracted. If I'll talk about other months, for April, AP was extracted. For August, AU was extracted, right? So that's how these functions can be used. And this is how a table can be created. And at times it is expected and required that we have to create calendar tables. And then these calendar tables are further used in the data model and in representing insights, providing filters, and so on. So I hope this video was helpful, and it was pretty much helpful in helping you get familiar with how different DAX functions can be used. We'll meet in the next session and we will discuss about aggregate functions. We will take other examples to understand this, and throughout this series, we will take questions and examples to understand how different DAX functions work, right? So I hope this video was helpful. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye-bye.